Hello everyone and welcome back to another Figurehead Reviews video, and today we are taking a look at the Marvel Legends Black Widow, a Walmart exclusive. Here we see Black Widow in a gray case inspired by her 90s gray outfit, which of course this figure is based on. We can see a plethora of accessories there inside the window, and then of course at the bottom we do have the Black Widow logo. On the side, we get some very cool artwork there of Black Widow charging forward. We see a blast coming out from her gauntlets there, some fire and explosions behind her. Very, very cool and very action-packed piece of art, and that is going to be the same on both sides. On the back, we do have a product shot there of Black Widow, and then we do have a quick read-up. Extensive training in the Red Room made Natasha Romanoff into a warrior with few peers. And then down at the bottom, we do have the UPC code, so you can check with your local Walmart to see if they have these in stock. But enough about that. Let's get this open and take a look at the Black Widow. And here is Black Widow outside of her packaging, and I have to say first and foremost that I'm very happy that Hasbro is now getting us some figures that have iconic looks from the 90s. Other than just the X-Men. So having Black Widow here in her gray outfit is very cool. I'm not thrilled that it's a Walmart exclusive, but I did pre-order this back in January. It got delayed, and I just got it delivered, matter of fact, the same day that I'm recording this, which is yesterday as of the time that you're watching this premiere. But it's a very cool figure, and like I said, I'm happy to get that inspiration from the 90s. Now, being a Black Widow figure, we got the Deadly Origins figure that came with all sorts of weapons. We get no guns of any kind with this figure, but instead we have her gauntlets playing the main role here for her weaponry, which is very cool. In the comic books, her gauntlets acted more like Batman's utility belt, where it not only had the Widow's Bite with a shock blast, but had other things too, grapple, gas, things like that. So I like that we have the focus on those gauntlets as just sort of her primary method of attack with this particular figure. Now, speaking of those gauntlets, we do have a ton of accessories to look at, starting with what she will have inside the package, which is going to be the non-active gauntlets, so no effects pieces, and a pair of fisted hands, followed by a pair of open gesture hands. And then we get a set of gauntlets that have the blast effect coming out with a translucent orange effect and then the gold on the gauntlets. And another pair of gauntlets, this time sort of after she fired them, where we have smoke coming through them. And the cool thing is these are two different smoke effects. These are not just carbon copies of each other. And then finally we do have her jetpack, which is actually really well done, cast in this silver gray material. And then it looks like we get some good effects and details, lots of panel lines. And of course, we do get the SHIELD logo on the back, which came out looking very good. And included at the bottom, we do have two ports, so you can take the included jet effects that we have with this and port those in so that you can have her blasting off in the jetpack. And this jetpack does not have any kind of port, so you will have to work this onto the figure. I find removing the hands and gauntlets makes this process easier. You're going to place the arms behind her back with her elbows facing in, and then you're going to slide the two straps around her arms, kind of hooking it around, and then you're going to want to pull one side on all the way, and then you'll get the other side on, and eventually you'll work it in there. But thankfully the straps are a little bit pliable so that you can really get them in there without having to worry about breaking them. And when standing straight up, Black Widow is going to come in at 6 1/4 inches tall, which makes her about 15.9 centimeters, so it's a good height for a female figure, so no worries there. But since we already looked at all the accessories, and she's an exclusive with no Build-A-Figure piece, let's go ahead and jump in and get a better look here at the paint and sculpt on Black Widow. And getting up close here, we can see a very well done head sculpt and really well done paint as well. I love those green eyes, and then you can see we even have some eyeshadow there just above them. The eyebrows look like they're actually painted pretty decent. You get some eyeliner on it, and then we have even two tones on the lipstick there with the dark red and the bright red on that lower lip. And that really does help make this head sculpt stand out, I think. It's really good looking, actually, because of that. And then I like the hair. We get that piece that hangs down over her eye, and we get that short cut, which was her style in the 90s. And again, we see some shading there with some different color red. So I do really like this head sculpt quite a bit. Looking down here at the shirt underneath, so we do have a Black Widow logo, and it looks like the red is slightly off center, but not too bad. It's certainly tolerable. And of course, this is a much higher collar than we've seen with some other Black Widow figures that tend to go a little bit lower. I'm not really picky about which version they do here. I think this figure looks just fine as it is, but some people might complain that that's not getting enough cleavage, which just doesn't seem like a real, I'm not going to complain about that in an action figure. Looks good. We get the Avengers logo here on the side of the arms, which looks good on both of them, except, that one has a little bit of a mess up there on the A, but that's not terrible. And then the jacket is going to be the same that we've seen with characters like Rogue, where it's just that little half jacket. So looks good, though, still either way. And then actually I should point out, too, something that could have been easily missed is we do have that spider logo there on her lower back, which is pretty cool, and it's mostly covered up here by the jacket, but still cool. I kind of wish that we could have a version without the jacket on, because she did appear at times without a jacket, so it still would have been nice, but I still like how it looks. Then we get a belt that is going to be loose, and I'd have to go back to the reference material and see whether or not there's any paint on there, but the fact that this is just molded in that gold, and we get no other paint on it, whatever, I guess. And then I did want to have some of the blast effect gauntlets on here just to get an up close. So we can see this one is cast in the translucent and then painted gold. And I know that for a fact because the other piece that I have has some gold on the underside there. So a little bit of a miss on the paint on one of them, but not too bad. And then the other gauntlet, we had the smoke effect. And as I mentioned before, those are two different pieces for the smoke effect. They're not the exact same smoke pieces, so they are different, which I think is really cool. And then the open gesture hands look fine. They're standard. We've seen those many times with many female characters. I think, in fact, most recently with the Wasp figure that I just reviewed. And then looking down at the rest of the body, there's no real paint or anything going on. It's pretty standard sculpt work for a female figure. So while this figure doesn't bring a whole lot new to the table in terms of the female sculpts, it still is a good classic look, so I do like that. Now looking at the articulation, you got a head that can go all the way around, but boy, you can see a lot of the neck joint there. So she can look back, but that is a big gap there, so really weird looking if she looks up too much. And she can look down quite a way. She gets a little lump there, but she can really bury her chin down there pretty far. You have arms that can come up quite a ways, well past 90 degrees, full rotation, and then you are going to have the single jointed elbows with rotation at the elbow. Then all the hands are going to have a rotation and hinge on there as well. And I should mention too, the gauntlets do rotate around, like they don't go on any specific way. So, all right, well, that's one way to take the hand off. But you can rotate them around, so that way if you did need to have the elbow posed in a different way, you can have those gauntlets in any specific direction. Take that off for a second. Now we do have a rotation there at the diaphragm joint that can go all the way around, but if you go back too far, you're going to have an ugly gap there, but it can go back quite a ways. Can go forward, not too bad, and that's not going to expose any gap, of course, because of that jacket. And then you do get some really good side-to-side action on there as well, so that does help with some of the dynamic posing. And moving it around like this, the nice thing is I don't feel it hitting the plastic or anything, so we get some good clearance there. Legs don't really come apart very far at all. Kick forward quite a ways. Backwards a little bit. Upper thigh cut, double jointed knee, and then we do have a hinge and ankle. Well, we do have ankle pivot, but this one was really stiff. And that about does it for this review, everyone. So overall, I actually think this is a pretty well done figure and certainly worth a pickup for anybody who is into the classic looks for some of these characters. Certainly anybody doing the 90s stuff. So if you're into the 90s X-Men, there's a good chance you might be into some of the 90s Avengers stuff as well. So I could see this being worth picking up. However, if you are just a standard collector of one line, meaning maybe you only like to collect certain modern X-Men, modern Avengers, whatever, I could see this as being an easy pass for some of you. I will say that I am a little disappointed that it's a Walmart exclusive. I think most of us kind of cringe when we see Walmart, Target, and Walgreens exclusives these days because distribution just seems to be so rough Thankfully, I was able to get in on a pre-order on this particular one back in January and was able to get it, matter of fact, delivered today. So that is nice that there's at least a pre-order process. But like if you tried to pre-order the Moon Knight that just came out, it was pre-ordered or it was sold out within 5 minutes. I checked it within about 5 minutes and I couldn't get it. I don't know if the website was glitched or anything. I've heard people say that they were able to get it a little ways after, but either way, it's not the best system that we can get there. The fan channel stuff I seem to have no problem getting. It's just some of these specific store exclusives. But anyway, I do digress. So I do think it's worth picking up if you can find her. But aside from that, make sure to hit the thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe for more content just like this. And as always, thanks for stopping by and have a great day.